At the beginning of the movie, we see a man named Caesar who is the caretaker of a large building. He was a man with a very sad personality who always felt that everything bad happened to him, and he was never happy with anything good that happened to him either. Caesar took great pleasure in seeing others sad, and seeing others happy made him very angry. He always did things that would hurt others and make them miserable. Now we see him get out of bed, get fully dressed, and walk out of a room. And whose room was this? Who was Caesar sleeping with? We will find out about all this later. Now we see Caesar heading to work, where he attends to people entering and leaving the building, and he handles other odd jobs as well. On the other hand, we see the same girl that Caesar was sleeping with, and her name is Clara. Caesar would actually knock Clara unconscious, enter her room at night, and sleep with her all night long, after which he would leave her room early in the morning, and since he was the building caretaker, he had the keys to every room, and that is how he spent every day, or rather every night. Anyway, a little girl named Ursula, who lived in the same building, found out Caesar's secret. She started blackmailing him for money and food, which Caesar had to provide, even though he didn't want to. Now, as Clara is leaving for work, she talks to Caesar for a bit before she goes. Clara was always in a good mood, which is why she remained happy all the time. But he did not like this at all. Now, Caesar goes to the hospital to visit his mother, as her health usually remained poor. That is why she had to stay in the hospital, and Caesar would visit his mom from time to time. When he meets his mom, he tells her that he does not want to see anyone happy, especially Clara. So he is going to take a very hard step very soon, hearing which his mom becomes sad. So, his mom also had an idea about her son's madness, and here Caesar seems like a kind of psychopath to us. Well, it's good that we introverts will be spared from this because happiness doesn't really show on our faces. Like, we are happy inside, but we don't show it much on the outside. And how many introverts can relate to this? Do let me know in the comment section. Anyways, he reaches inside the building where the manager starts yelling at him for being late. But just then, a lady who lived in that same building arrives and requests Caesar to look after her dogs for one night, to which he agrees. Now, as night falls, Caesar goes to that lady's room where he had to take care of those dogs. He goes inside the room and gives the dogs some dog food. But he deliberately feeds a small piece of the pie that the lady had left for Caesar to the dog so that it gets sick. As I told you, this man was not happy seeing the dogs happy either. Even seeing them made him miserable. Shortly after, we see Clara returning home from work and resting on her bed for a while. But just beneath that bed, we can see Caesar, who is hiding there. Now, after Clara falls asleep, Caesar comes out from under the bed and makes her unconscious by making her inhale chloroform. After that, he goes into Clara's bathroom and mixes a harmful chemical into every one of her cosmetic products. And finally, he goes to sleep next to Clara. After spending the whole night in that room with Clara, he gets ready in the morning, finishes his work and leaves the room, and while leaving, he also sees a photo of Clara and her boyfriend. As he leaves the room and heads to work, Ursula spots him. She blackmails him into getting her an adult movie. Caesar is shocked, but he eventually agrees. As the normal day begins, we see that lady taking her dog to the doctor for a checkup because her dog had diarrhea, which was most probably caused by the pie given there. As he leaves, Caesar starts talking to that lady, where at the end of the conversation, he says hurtful words to her, which makes her sad, and he was happy about it. After that, we see Clara getting ready in the morning, applying all the cosmetic products that Caesar had mixed with harmful chemicals, but she has no idea about it. As Clara leaves for the office, she talks to Caesar for a while, and she remains quite happy throughout the entire conversation. But this obviously makes her even angrier. As soon as Clara leaves, Ursula comes to meet Caesar shortly after, where he gives her an adult movie, and as she leaves, Ursula tells Caesar that she will now take 100 euros instead of 60 euros to keep his secret. Anyway, in the next scene, a senior citizen living in the building starts yelling at Caesar because he had asked Caesar to look after his plants, but he didn't, causing all of them to wither away. Now, he goes to the hospital and tells his mom that Clara is still very happy, but that won't last. Hearing this, his mom becomes sad because she knows all this but cannot do anything about it. After returning from the hospital, Caesar tells her mother and her son, working in the same building, that the office condition is not clean, which is causing many complaints. Because of this, the woman yells at her son and promises to get the office cleaned as soon as possible. As evening falls, Caesar goes to Clara's house and ruins her mom's watch with acid so that Clara will be heartbroken when she sees it. After which he goes and hides under Clara's bed again, and that night Caesar repeats the same actions. The next morning when Clara wakes up, she notices slight rashes on her face. And while leaving for work, Caesar reminds her of the rashes and says that they do not look good on her, thinking that Clara would be upset by this. Yet, Clara leaves in a perfectly happy mood. which makes him very angry. By the time Clara returns home, she realizes that her rashes have worsened significantly. For about a week, Caesar had been adding dangerous chemicals to her cosmetics, causing her rashes to spread. During this time, Caesar also sends Clara letters to mentally torture her. Now Caesar tells all these things to his mom as well, making her sad too. Clara's condition was gradually worsening and she felt tired all day long, while her face was also breaking out. But after some time, when her face cleared up, she suddenly saw many cockroaches and insects in her house one day. Scared, she went to Caesar for help. Now, Caesar probably did this too, just to torment Clara. After which, we see him at Clara's house, where he brings her some clothes and necessary items so she can leave for the office. While leaving, Clara asks Caesar to get her room cleaned. But just then, Ursula arrives and gives Caesar a look as if she has an idea that he is the one who did all this. Now in the elevator, Caesar asks Clara about the messages that a random person was sending her. This surprises Clara a bit because she hadn't told him about it, and she becomes slightly suspicious of Caesar. But she says that she has already filed a complaint about it, and whoever is sending those messages is from this building and will be caught soon. Now he goes to the hospital to see his mom, where he tells her that he has been too easy on Clara, but now he is going to be very strict. After that, Caesar returns home, clears out Clara's room, and starts spraying pesticides there. But just then, the building manager arrives and hints that he will soon be fired because his careless behavior is increasing. Now, some investigation officers enter the building. They are also there to find out who was sending those messages to Clara, and their first suspicion falls on Caesar because he had the keys to every room. But Caesar tells the officers that the son of the mother and son who clean the rooms might be sending those messages, and in the end, the scenario Caesar created somehow works, and the officers arrest both the mother and son. Anyway, he was about to take a much more dangerous step toward Clara, and his full intention now was to stab Clara to death. So he hides under Clara's bed with a knife. But that night, Clara comes home very late, and she even brought her boyfriend along. After that, they both start getting intimate on the bed while Caesar is still underneath. Now what happens is that the chloroform he brought for Clara spills onto his own face. After which, he somehow manages to escape the room, avoiding their sight. But just after that, as he starts to open the room door, the scene cuts right there. Now, the next morning, we see Caesar in the bathroom. Meaning, before passing out, Caesar somehow made it to the bathtub, and right in front of him, past the curtains, Clara is brushing her teeth. Meaning that now, it was quite difficult for Caesar to escape from there. His bag was also right there in Clara's room, and Clara and her boyfriend start wondering whose bag it is. Somehow, he manages to avoid their gaze, grabs his identification, and starts to flee the room. But just then, Clara's boyfriend spots him and is about to attack when Clara arrives. Caesar claims he left some belongings behind while spraying pesticides yesterday and came to retrieve them. Clara gives him the bag, and Caesar says sorry and leaves. As soon as he reaches work, his manager and that same old man stop him. They hand him a letter and say, "You only have 15 days left before you lose your job, so leave as soon as you can." Caesar then realizes that he has to leave this place now. Now, as he is packing his things, the same lady with the dog comes to see him and tells him that they will miss him very much. But in reply, Caesar tells her that she is already quite old and has no partner to talk to. The neighbors here do not behave well with anyone either, and by saying such things, Caesar makes the lady very sad. After which, that lady becomes very sad and starts heading towards her room, and he was feeling quite happy watching all this from behind. Just then, Clara and her boyfriend pass by, and while leaving, Clara tells Caesar that they are going away for the weekend, and Clara was very happy at that moment. Seeing this, he gets very angry, but he also starts feeling sad that despite his many attempts, Clara was not unhappy. Now, Caesar's sadness grows so much that he finally decides to kill himself and goes to the top of the building to do just that. But then, he sees Clara and her boyfriend returning to the building, and he decides to stop himself from taking his own life. Now Caesar and we find out that Clara and her boyfriend had a fight. And this fight happened because Clara was pregnant, even though they both used protection, and that is what they were fighting about. Now when they both fall asleep, Caesar comes out from under the bed, makes them both inhale chloroform, and getting completely naked, he starts getting intimate with Clara. Which gives us the idea that Clara was actually pregnant with Caesar's child. The next morning, Clara's boyfriend comes to meet Caesar, and under the pretext of some work, he takes Caesar along with him. But as soon as he enters the room, he realizes that Clara's boyfriend knows everything about what Caesar has been doing with Clara. After which, her boyfriend hits Caesar from behind and a fight breaks out between them. But in the meantime, Caesar stabs Clara's boyfriend in the throat with a sharp object and drags him into the bathtub. He then places the object he used to stab Clara's boyfriend into his hand, making it look like he took his own life. He starts tidying up the room again so it looks like no fight ever happened. The next day, many officers arrive to investigate the death of Clara's boyfriend, and they call Caesar in too. He tries to get away by saying that he no longer works in this building, but he is still investigated. I mean, look at the guy's cunning. He was using his 15-day notice period against them. Meanwhile, Caesar finds out that Ursula has discovered his secret once again. So at night, he goes to her house, knocks out her entire family, and threatens Ursula, saying he knows everything about where she goes to school, who her friends are, and everything else. He also says that he can do anything he wants to her, so Ursula should keep her mouth shut. The next day, the investigation officer comes back to investigate with Caesar. He mentions that a girl named Ursula lives in front of Clara's house, and she might have an idea about what happened there, so they should question her. The officer questions her, but out of fear, Ursula tells them nothing. Finally, as Clara's mom takes her home, Caesar says more hurtful things to Clara. We see Clara in extreme distress. Caesar had succeeded in his plan and was happy about it. Now we are shown a scene from a few months later where Clara is holding a baby, and it was Caesar's child, which Clara had no idea about, because she was thinking that perhaps the protection had failed and it was her boyfriend's child. Anyway, Caesar now sends a letter to Clara in which he reveals everything he had done to her, and Clara also finds out that this child is his, after which she starts crying while holding the baby because it was not her fault at all. This means the child will now always remind Clara that her life is in this state because of Caesar, and she will always be unhappy. And here, Caesar will also always be happy, because that is exactly what he wanted. He used to find happiness in seeing others suffer. And boom! With this, the movie Sleep Tight ends right here.